Good afternoon. I'm Mary Anglade of Builder Lead Marketing, and I would like to welcome you to Winning Locally, How Builders Can Dominate Their Market with Smart Local Marketing. I'd also like to welcome any home service providers or modular manufacturers today. I'd like to congratulate you all for taking a moment to learn the latest marketing techniques. You should congratulate yourself for doing that. You're likely in the minority. I'd like to start off by asking you, when someone in your top town or top county searches, home builder, or if you're a service provider or a manufacturer, near me, will you show up in the top three results on Google? And in particular, the top three map results. And can you prove it right now? So I like this to be interactive. Go pull up your phone, pull up your computer screen, and plug in, top builder, your town, North Palm Beach, Florida, wherever you may be in the country, and see who comes up. And are you there? Because I think that will help you kind of figure out what you want to get out of this particular session. When I did this kind of randomly, I said top home builder Fairfield, Connecticut, which is a town not too far from me. Um, these are the three that came up, and we'll get into in much more detail, you know, what all of these, excuse me, these sections mean. But who's here? Rosado is paying. That's a paid placement, says sponsored. And then these other two are showing up organically. Okay, so they are doing something to their website so that Google knows that they are a trusted website to include in the results. And, as you're looking at your own results, who's there, who's not? So what's important, and what, again, we'll get into this in more detail, is that map pack, they call that the map pack, gets 40% of the clicks. So we're going to get into how to show you how to get there today. So I'm going to do a very brief introduction. We're going to start off just talking about your target. I always like to set the stage, getting everybody thinking about who's their target. It's not really a marketing discussion without really thinking through who you're trying to attract, who you service. And then we're going to jump right into, local marketing, the three things that really you want to think about doing. How do you get people to be aware of you? What are the actions? How do you amplify? And then I have a special offer at the end, and we will wrap up. The webinar should last about 40 to 45 minutes, and we will have various times during the webinar where if you want to set up some time with me or you have your questions, I'll be sharing that information. So we are recording the webinar. It will be sent to you, and we'll also have it on our YouTube channel. You can email me directly with any questions. That is my direct email, manglade@Builder Lead Marketing. And we're holding monthly webinars reviewing what we call the accelerated growth model. So please connect with us, and I'll show you in a few slides how to do that. This is our YouTube channel, which has all of our previous webinars on it and a lot of tips and shortcuts. So please share. We enjoyed doing these webinars. So who am I? I'm Mary Anglade, as I mentioned. I have over 25 years of experience in marketing, general management, and I've owned my own agency since 2012. I have a generalist agency called SparkGen, and I've worked with large, small companies, startups, nonprofits. And then through that agency, I ended up acquiring several builder clients as well as modular builder clients. And so my team and I really became experts in marketing for home builders and related industries, but in particular, like the modular aspect of it. We are members of the Modular Home Builders Association as well as the Home Builders Association. I am in Professional Women in Building, and my early career was actually in finance. I worked for what is now JP Morgan Chase in New York City. I was a lender, in the garment industry, garment center. So I lent money mostly to fashion companies, which is really tough business. But most of my clients really like that because I understand how companies make money. I do have a strong grasp of financial analysis and bring a very results-oriented, results-driven approach to marketing, as do all of my team members. And we're very transparent with our clients. We really love going over the results with them and refining and optimizing and making changes if need be. So we, believe this is really something that sets us apart, that transparency as well as that results orientation. I am going to be a speaker at the upcoming Modular Housing Conference in November. So I hope if you'll be there, you'll join it. I'm going to take everyone through creating a 2026 marketing plan for yourself. So you will have very concrete, actionable steps. It will be informative, but also the idea is you are going to have a very good idea of what you need to do in 2026. We are also exhibiting, so I hope you'll stop by the booth. We love meeting everybody and being a part of the community. I have also just recently published a book. I will have copies at the conference. It is available on Amazon and it is tailored to modular. But again, if you're a builder, if you're in home services, there's a lot of great information that would be very applicable to you as well. It has a whole chapter on AI and how you can use AI to improve your business. So I hope you'll pick up a copy. I will be probably having some special offers on my website, builderleadmarketing.com, and doing some giveaways, that kind of thing as well. But of course, please get your copy if you don't want to wait. If you go to our site, we also have a number of reviews and case studies. We work with builders all over the country, and you can scan that QR code and it'll take you right there if you're interested in hearing what others have to say. And we offer, programs really for smaller builders, for medium, as well as large companies, which we call the enterprise programs. We have three main programs that we offer. And if you're interested, I will have some ways to set up time to learn more. And we have, like I said, we have a special offer at the end if you decide to do that. So this is a QR code. Please, this will take you directly to a calendar. You'll either meet with me or one of my colleagues, and we would be happy to review what you're doing and see if there are opportunities. It's a no obligation call. Again, we really love being part of the community and helping builders with their marketing. And here's another QR code where you can connect with me on LinkedIn. We also have a few free offers, and you can also find us on social media very easily. This will bring you to a link tree. As I mentioned, we have been having these webinars about the Accelerated Growth Model. It's our program for driving growth in the building niche. We have gone through deep dives on social media, on SEO, paid search, email marketing or database, website, how you set up your website for maximum conversion. We have done webinars on planning. So again, if you get in touch with us, we offer these monthly and they're complimentary. So there's no obligation. Again, we just really want to help the community, help the industry, because frankly, we think there's really a need. There's kind of a gap in terms of knowledge level and some of the more modern marketing techniques. So let's jump in. Let's talk target. Again, I want this to be useful and interactive where you're really thinking about your business. So think about who is your prospect. I know I have maybe a few different types of companies on here. A lot of this is we're going to be talking about builders, but just think through who is that person. And, you really need to get a clear picture of this because, like, let's say you're somebody who's targeting the affordable, you know, market where it's maybe young people trying to buy their first house, Or maybe you're on the other end where it's older people who are downsizing and they want, um, or maybe they want a luxury second home. Those two targets are so different. And the way you talk to them, your messaging, your imagery, the kinds of houses you would put on your website, even just the look and feel of the website would be very different. So you could have a fine business, serving both of those types of clients. But in terms of your marketing, you really want to be clear on who that is. I always start off these webinars also with just reminding everyone, how are people making purchasing decisions in today's world? Way back when this big yellow book was a big part of getting found, especially if you were a service provider, contractor, that kind of thing. Newspaper ads were one of the top ways people would look for homes, would look for places to live. Um, is that the case now? No, people are online, and I'll show you even in a slide just how much they're online. But you know, all home buyers are using the internet in some capacity, not necessarily to build a home, but a lot of times people start off thinking they're gonna, buy an existing home. They can't find what they want, especially with the low inventory that's in many of the counties in the country now. So they turn to building. The most valuable content were photos, detailed property information, floor plans, and people are also using social media, another online channel. If you are dealing with real estate agents, maybe that's a secondary target for you, or maybe it's your primary target. Real estate agents are very much online. They are out there in their communities, and that is a great way to reach them as well. This is from the National Association of Realtors, and I think what's striking is how across all these age groups, even people over the age of 75 to 95, where 87% of them used the internet to search for a home. All these other ages, it's almost 100%. So, your clients are online and you have to ask yourself, what do you, how, like, are you found? Can you, when they search for you, which is going to be a lot of what we talked about today, are you in those top three rankings, or, are you on the first page of Google? And then what do they find when they get there? That's not the topic of today's webinar, but we have a lot of content about that. Is your website modern? Does it have, you know, like social profiles you haven't posted on in months, links that don't work? None of that inspires trust. So you need to put your best foot forward, because this is oftentimes maybe a first impression for somebody looking to do business with you. And last month we did a webinar on content marketing, and one of our stats was 70% of the research is already done for uh, prospects before they ever pick up the phone to talk to a salesperson. So they are doing their research online, they're reading reviews, they are looking at your website, they're looking at your social media profiles, and at that point they may not even call you, just depending on what they actually see. So you really have to keep these stats in mind. The other thing is, a lot of our builder clients are not online, certainly not as much as someone like myself. Um, but the average American is spending 7 hours a day online. And if your clients are lawyers, business people, they are absolutely online. So you have to keep that in mind, even if your own personal situation, you think, well, I don't really go to websites that much. I more talk to people and I make phone calls. Like, that's really not the way Americans are doing business anymore. They're using the internet. So let's jump into really the heart of today's webinar, which is about this local marketing, and in particular, local marketing on Google. So why does local matter? So local on Google really matters because that map pack that I showed you in the beginning gets on almost half of the clicks, of the local clicks. The top three Google Maps listing capture approximately 48% of the combined clicks. 76% of people who do a local search on their phone visit a business within 24 hours, and 28% of those searches lead to a purchase. So I don't know if this is necessarily so true with home builders, but I think it's a really interesting stat, because it's just once again reinforcing that people really are online and they're using it to drive their purchasing decisions. Google holds about 90% of the global search market share, and winning on Google means winning local. So again, we'll get into more detail on that. Once again, 44% going to Google Maps, bypassing the other Google search results. So here's some stats by Moz, which is a search company, search software, and it's kind of showing you that, between these two, it's 71% of the clicks, and 67% are on the first 5 listings. So again, this is just putting in top home builder Danbury, Connecticut. Let's just look at some real results. You can do this where you're located. Up here, these are your paid ads because they say sponsored. And then you're getting into, so Google's going to put the sponsored part up first. Now, this would all be on one page, but because I'm working with a slide deck, I took some screenshots. So people are, definitely bidding. They're doing Google ads, pay per click. But then after that, you're going to see the AI overview. This is fairly new. So they're using AI to go scrape what they believe are the most authoritative sites in terms of their content. And so if you are doing great SEO, you have great fresh content every month, then Google, and you're not, again, you got to be careful the kind of content you put out. You have links coming in from other sources. It's going to say, okay, this website seems like I can trust it. It's pulling that information. The other thing is video is becoming prioritized. Google actually owns YouTube. So here's another part that they are serving up the videos. And that's another way that you can help get your content out there if you have good video. Then you're getting into what we call the map pack. So in this case, you can see Toll Brothers, they have a couple of developments in this area, and they have another home builder here. So this is what we call the map pack. And again, getting 40 to 50% of the clicks just going right to that local search. And then you've got your SEO. So that's search engine optimization. That's if you are, it's the gift that keeps on giving. If you are properly optimizing your website, your blogging, and you're optimizing your blog posts, you have inbound links coming from, authority websites, then you are going to show up here. And this is a great source of traffic. It tends to be the best traffic because people are usually kind of in research mode. They're really looking for you versus, I'm, say watching TV or something and I see an ad and I may or may not really have any interest in that product versus me searching on something where I definitively want that product. So the question we get all the time is, what about ChatGPT and the other answer engines? This is kind of a new phenomenon where we're getting this question. Answer engine optimization focuses on creating content that answers common customer questions directly. So it's improving your visibility in platforms like Google, voice assistants, and AI-generated responses. Excuse me for just 1 minute. He's back. GEO is generative engine optimization. It's the emerging practice of optimizing your content to rank and get visibility. So, in the AI-powered search engines, so like in ChatGPT, in Google Gemini. So, these are some new terms. I like to actually just make sure that when we do these webinars, we're really sharing the latest information. But as you see that from this chart, Google is still the 800-pound gorilla. It's 90% of the search volume. ChatGPT, it's growing and it's increasing in use. So you want to pay attention to it. And then the other ones are, smaller, less important, but they're really all important, frankly. People are using all of these various channels to get answers. Now, the other thing I thought, again, I want to always show an example is ChatGPT. I just said, what's the best, builder in Falls Church, Virginia? And so, what's the best modular builder? Comes up with these three. So I encourage you all, by the way, ChatGPT has a free version. Go on, just set up an account, see what it gives you. And again, what these search engines are doing is they are going out and they're looking for signals that your website and other sources of information about you are credible, that you have links, you've got great content. And if you do, then you are going to show up in these results. And even things like size and how long you've been in business, that will weigh into it as well. But these are things that there are levers you can pull to make sure you're showing up here. Again, though, in summary, Google really is, the 800-pound gorilla. It's 13.7 billion searches a day. ChatGPT is 1.1 billion. So we're still talking billions, which is huge. But Google is really, and Google, like I said, controls YouTube. They own YouTube. So that's worked into those stats as well. YouTube is also a huge search engine because people are going on there for content. You don't want to ignore the rest, even though, these AI engines are increasingly important, especially for the FAQ type of, who is the best, like, let's see what it comes up with, right? You really want to show up in both places. So let's just talk about some recent changes. Marketing is always changing, especially digital marketing, and Maps has been reduced. It used to have 7 listings. Now it's only 3. ChatGPT and the other AI engines are creating competition, and you really don't want to engage in any type of spam. Of course, you really got to watch it because Google will penalize you, and these companies are so big, it's very difficult to get back in their good graces if you're not using, white hat practices. The other thing is they now have this sponsored section, which they didn't have before. So this may increase, I think as some of their other search results maybe are taking a hit from like the ChatGPTs of the world, they're looking to find other ways to monetize the search results. So let's jump into a little bit more on local search and local service ads. You know, this is something called Google Guaranteed. If you're interested in it, you have to go through a very strict verification process. They are making changes to it. So, in fact, I think they're folding it into their other offerings. They used to offer like this money back guarantee, but it sounds like they are moving away from that. If you like do this search, you'll see they have a big yellow kind of banner that comes up and it'll say as of October 20th. So actually, as of yesterday, they were making changes to it. Again, though, let's look, locally, not surprisingly. I mean, we like to show real examples, but Toll Brothers, obviously a big company, has a lot of resources. They are showing up in these results at the top. Now this is, in our area where my office is, there's a big new development. They are building houses there, and putting resources towards it. They're making sure that their website is optimized. Now, that's not to say some of these other ones are smaller. And we're going to get into the other important thing is reviews, but like you don't have to be a Toll Brothers to show up here. But in our case, we are seeing that, and probably because some of these other builders are not doing what they need to do to get themselves listed at the top. So what actually affects your map's visibility? Google rotates the top 3 map results and proximity to the searcher. So Google, they know if you have your location on, they know where you are. So they don't want to show you something in Arizona if you don't live in Arizona, right? So they're going to show you something close. And reviews are really important. We're going to get into that in a little more detail. But a company that doesn't have any reviews versus one that has a lot of really great reviews, the one with the great reviews is going to have more weight and it's going to rank better. You want to complete your profile. So we're going to get into that in a little more detail as well. You want to make sure your name, address, and phone are listed exactly the same across all of the various directories online. Inconsistencies you'll get penalized. They now really want you to take a number of steps for verification. We'll get into that. It used to be a lot easier that you could do it through a postcard. You can't do that anymore. And again, don't even do anything spam related. And make sure if you're working with a marketing agency, make sure that they are using best practices. That they have worked with Google for years. Um, because if they've been around for a long time, chances are, they are actually reputable and they have been above board, and using all of the recommendations that Google puts forth. So what do you need in summary is a physical address, ideally, which is kind of silly in some ways because now so many people do have remote businesses. So the reality is though, a physical address still is more meaningful in terms of these rankings. Get an address in the city you want to rank for. So if you really want to rank in Danbury, Connecticut, you should have an office in Danbury, Connecticut. Consistent listings, again, we'll get into this in a little more detail, and strong reviews. No physical address, inconsistent listings, it's just the opposite, right? Spam tactics, weak reviews, that's going to hurt how you rank in this, in the listings. So one of the things we do, and if you decide to meet with us, we take a look at the keywords and, what are some of the top keywords in your area. Typically, and this is an example for like a modular builder, you want to use long form keywords. So modular builder near me. So modular builder, Danbury, Connecticut. And you want to actually incorporate that into your content. These keywords will help you if you put them out, because then Google recognizes when somebody's searching, oh, this website seems to have the best match for the content that this person's looking for. This is a great example of a really well done Google Maps or Google profile, Google My Business profile. They have many photos, 799 plus. This is all filled out. Okay. They've got their website, they have their hours of operation. Now, if this is your GMB profile, maybe you have some really nice pictures of the houses you build, your floor plans. If you have any video, like all of that can go in to your GMB. And the more filled out this is, the better it is. They, really do consider completeness. And it should also link out to your social profiles. Your social profiles should be up to date. Don't just set up a Facebook page and never post again. That, makes you look like you're not even in business anymore, or maybe you don't have any money and you ran out of budget or something like that. None of that's going to inspire confidence. So all of this actually matters for Google as well. Okay, so want to kind of go through the 4-step map process. claim and optimize your Google business profile. All right. Pick out what your primary category is, what your services are, the description that, really think about what differentiates you. Maybe you build faster, maybe you build with the most premium quality supplies, all of that should be in there. You want to put photos, ideally even of your team, of your homes, of your floor plans. Um, you can post events and Q&A, accurate hours, messaging enabled. Don't set it and forget it. Take a look at it every month. Make sure if you have any new content that you could put on there that you're doing that. You want your name, address, phone consistent across everything. And we're going to get into, some techniques to make sure that's done. There's also, there's some nice services out there that can help you do this as well, because there are thousands of these listings. And it can be very painful if you have to go into every single one of them. When we work with companies, we help them kind of clean this up. Reviews. So reviews really should just be part of your whole home buying process for your clients. So, I wouldn't ask for reviews from people that aren't happy with you. But when somebody's really excited about their new house, make it easy. Send them a link, make it part of your sales reps process or your process. How's everything going? Maybe send them some pictures of the home in process, right? Because building a home is such a important step for people, probably kind of a once in a lifetime for many people. So there really needs to be a good follow-up. And if you can get them to review you, again, this is going to help you in your sales cycle because you are going to rank better. Now, if somebody's not happy with you, again, I probably would not do that. The other thing is you can do things to your website to help with all of this as well. If you do have top towns, let's say, you are in Fairfield County, Connecticut, and you want Westport, Stamford, Norwalk, like all those, 5 or 6 towns that you really do business in, have a dedicated page for each of those towns on your website. Doesn't necessarily have to go into your navigation, but make it, you make it public so Google can find it. And then when somebody's looking for, home builder, Norwalk, Connecticut, they're going to find you because Google will say, oh, this, and make the page a really good page. Like you've got specific information about building a home in that town, maybe the permitting process. Like you really get into detail. Google's going to reward you. The other thing is, you can do internal links from blogs and news to those town pages. Maybe there's a local paper you can share a link. That actually helps you as well. And you can also get inbound links from like your Chamber of Commerce, from if you sponsor an event. So we'll get into a little bit more in a few slides, but ask them to put a link to your website on the event page. All of that will help you. The other thing is there are aggregators out there, and you can go to the aggregators. They distribute to thousands of smaller websites, and if you go to them, you can make sure that your name, address, phone is properly listed. Um, you know, if one of these gets it wrong, then again, you're going to be wrong in thousands of sites. If you are, like you just took a look at your listings at the beginning, you're like, oh, I'm not doing really well at all. Remember, it's about brand authority. You may want to re-verify with Google. Maybe I think even an option could be a video walkthrough of your office, and you're going to just really, they're going to say, okay, this is a real business. Get those reviews as we talked about. Make sure your profile on Google is complete. Look for those links. And another last step is you can create a resource page where if you do work with other local vendors, let's say flooring companies or plumbers or whatever it is, you can also link out to those, and Google will say, oh, they're related to these other businesses in some way. and that will help your website have greater authority. So, 90-day game plan, fix those NAP citations, fully optimize your Google business profile, start your review automation. Let's target the top 5 towns that you work in, build those website pages, and, take it a step further, get involved in the local events, get them to link back to you, have case studies or projects where you've built a home in one of those towns. Hopefully you could get permission and actually put up some pictures of the house, um, maybe even do an open house, do some kind of event. Um, Again, proactive review strategy is really important. And other local marketing, we are primarily digital, and that we believe in a lot of cases is the most efficient and cheapest because of the great targeting. But when it comes to local markets, depending on where you live, there can be some great opportunities with print. I know where we live, these are 2 examples of magazines they put out. Most of them have, like if it's a town magazine like Westport, they'll have like a dedicated real estate issue once or twice a year. Home people are still reading those, and they all have online options as well, where you can do banner ads, you can sponsor newsletters. I mean, you can really kind of even do like a 6-month campaign, so you really get awareness out there. These are not big traffic builders. These are awareness campaigns, so you have to think of it that way. Uh, the patch, which is all over the country, again, it's an awareness building, but we've done this for our clients where we've done banner ads, we've, done newsletter sponsorships, we've done articles, where it's kind of like local PR, but it's sponsored. And that works really well. And then another kind of newer opportunity is you can do programmatic audio, video, as well as advertise on podcasts. Acast is a company where you can target zip codes. You can really get very granular with the kind of targeting you do, even more granular than social media. They'll let you target by income. You can also say, I don't want to be on certain podcasts. You drop a pixel on your website so you can track your website conversions. And then Spotify, as well as Pandora and some of the other, and YouTube, they all offer like what we call programmatic audio and video. So you pick your target, and when that person is listening, and they know this because of the cookies you drop on websites, your search history, they'll go out and buy data from the data brokers out there, and you can reach people that way. And it's really, really efficient. It's much more efficient than like blanket radio or blanket TV ads, where, especially if you're selling something very, high end and once in a lifetime, like a house, you probably don't need to reach all of those people. And some out of the box ones are even things like train station placements, community sponsorships, 5K sports teams. Again, get a backlink to your site, and events, local events, open houses. If you are a developer, obviously you can do an open house. I recently went to a hard hat open house where the model wasn't quite there, but they actually kind of made it sort of fun. Everybody wore a hard hat. It was a little bit dusty, not going to lie, but they got a lot of attention for it, and they had quite a bit of attendance. So I guess at this point, it's a great time to ask, what would it mean to you to have more lead sales and profits? What would it allow you to do? If you were getting most of the clicks versus your competition, how many more home builds could you have in your year? If you're a manufacturer, how would your builders, benefit from this? This is something you can help your builders do better with. And if you'd like some help, as I mentioned, we have a special offer. We do a free online review for you. We'll look at your competition. We're going to see how you're ranking locally, as well as how your competition is. We through our technology can actually see how much traffic competition's getting. We'll look at your social media. We'll look at the website, see how it's converting. You'll get a nice report. It's no obligation. This is just, if there's a fit and you think, gosh, we'd like to work with Builder Lead Marketing, great. We have to be mutually, we want to find a fit, of course. And this is, though, offered to you at no charge. So you just scan that QR code, or you can call us, or you can reach us through our website, or you can email me directly. So with that, I would like to thank you for attending. Please do follow us on social media. I also want to thank the Modular Home Builders Association as well as the HBRA for getting the word out. Really appreciate it. Again, thank you for coming and connect with us. Come to our next webinar, and I really hope to see you at the show in November in Pittsburgh. Thank you.